To the channel. So I want to talk about how yields are generated in DeFi. A lot of people may or may not be familiar with DeFi. DeFi is decentralized finance, and essentially really what it is, if you break it down to the core, is taking real world systems that are generating yield and how money flows and how money is used in society, duplicating that, creating that so that it's accessible within a smart contract, and the smart contract just acts as the middleman instead of the really slow, convoluted, crowded processes we have in the real world. So really there's three different ways at this exact moment, I think, that yields are being generated in DeFi. One of the core ways is lending and borrowing, right? So a lot of you guys may or may not be familiar with platforms like Compound or on Binance Smart Chain. You have platforms like Venus, but people can take their money, go and lend on the platform. There's an APY you get for lending your money, and while your money is in the pot, other people are paying a per second or per block fee for the rights of holding that money, right? And so all of that generates and calculates out to an annual APY, essentially. So if it says the APY is 7% for your Bitcoin and you want to lend it, you put your Bitcoin up and you're earning over the course of 12 months 7% more on that, right? So that's one way that yields are being generated, is through lending and borrowing. That is the most, one of the oldest things that exists in finances in human history is lending and borrowing, and people paying an interest rate for that. One of the next ways, and this is newer relatively speaking, is through liquidity providing. So you have platforms like Uniswap or PancakeSwap where anybody can take two tokens and place them into a liquidity pool, so that anybody can now trade against that pool and you're not so reliant on traditional order books. And for that, while the money is in those liquidity pools, it's earning a trade fee, and other times there's other incentives by the platform to provide liquidity there. So the one thing to keep in mind with liquidity providing is something called impermanent loss, and what that means is essentially that one of the two tokens that you've put in outpaces, either by going up in price or down in price, at a significant level compared to the other one. And depending on the math on how those numbers shake out, in some cases you could actually have made more money had you just not had your money in the pool and just held the token separately. So it will kind of limit your upside and curb your downside a little bit. But obviously in the case of liquidity pools, if one of the tokens goes to zero, that's essentially bad for everything that you've put in the pool. The third way, and this is newer, right, is that yes, you've got lending and borrowing, you've got liquidity providing, you've got these two rock solid, obvious things based on math that are generating yields for people right now that anybody could tap into. The third way is that, typically whatever platform you're on, if they have, smart incentives, they'll incentivize you further with the platform token, right? So this can increase your APY, your APR. And again, it's incentive to do certain things on that platform, to provide liquidity or to lend and borrow. I hope this was interesting for you guys. I'm going to make a lot more DeFi content here on the platform, and really just covering anything interesting going on in the space right now. But if you guys like this video, like the video, subscribe, comment below, and let me know what projects you guys think are interesting or what topics you guys want me to cover here on the channel. Thanks.